Everyone, I am Sharon Badayos, and today I am sharing to you my thoughts and opinions about figures of speech, its definition, its importance, and its different types. So, sit and keep watching. Figures of speech. It is a deviation from the ordinary use of words in order to increase their effectiveness. Basically, it is a figurative language that may consist of a single word or phrase. And here are the importance of figures of speech. Number one, it enhances the beauty of the writing. Number two, it makes the sentence deeper and leaves the reader with a sense of wonder. Number three, it brings life to the words used by the writer. Number four, it not only shows the writer's intent but also his purpose of using such language. And lastly, it adds flavor to the writing and makes it so much more enjoyable for the reader. And here are the types of figures of speech. Number one, simile. Simile, it is a figure of speech that compares two things that are different from each other but have similar qualities. These are generally formed through usage of the words as or like. So here are the examples. Number one, he is brave as a lion. Number two, her expressions as cold as ice. And next is when dissolving like soap in water. And lastly, the flower is as pretty as a picture. And next is metaphor. It is a figure of speech which is used for implying a comparison between two things that have something in common but are in general different from each other. So here are the examples. Number one, it is raining cats and dogs. Number two, he is the star of our class. And another example is Jan is a goat. And last example is ocean sounds is music to my ear. Next is personification. It is a figure of speech that attributes human nature or human qualities to attract or animate object. And examples of this are the opportunity knocked the door. And next is the plants in their house silently begged to be watered. Number three, angry clouds surrounded the islands. And lastly, earth was thirsty for water. Next one is alliteration. It is a type of figure of speech in which a sentence consists of a series of words that have the same consonant sound at the beginning. So the example for this is seashells, seashells on the seashore. A good cook could cook as much cookies as a good cook who could cook cookies. And number three, dirty dolphins dove across the ocean. And lastly, purple pandas painted portraits. Next one is onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia is a kind of figure of speech which is used to express a sound. To be more precise, it involves the use of words that imitate the sounds associated with an action or object. So example for this is the buzzing bee blew over my head. So the noisy water comes from the spring. Number three, the stone hit the water with a splash. Number four, can you hear the clicks coming from the roof? And lastly, the monkey ate the beans in his hands. And next one is the hyperbole. So it is a figure of speech that consists of an exaggeration. It is the usage of exaggerated terms in order to emphasize or heighten the effects of something. So here are the examples. Number one, I have told you a million times to not touch my stuff. And number two, she has got a pea-sized brain. And number three, the wave of the sea did not go as far as my heart. Number four, it has been ages that I have had a proper meal. And lastly, ocean bolt runs faster than the wind. A next type of a figure of speech is the euphemism. It is a figures of speech that the usage of the mild word is substitution of something that is more explicit or harsh when referring to something unfavorable or unpleasant. And here are the examples. Last night, Joe's grandfather passed away, so it means it was already dead. And number 2, she was starting to feel over the hill, so it means old. And number 3, I need to powder my nose, so it means go to the bathroom. And lastly, our company has decided to let you go, so it means that to fire you. So that's all. And next one is the irony, which is also called as sarcasm. It is a figures of speech in which the usage of words conveys the opposite of their literal meaning, thus are often used in a humorous manner. So the examples of this are your hands as clean as a mud. So the dinner you served was hot as an ice. And a fire station that burns down. So lastly, leaving a car wash with a beginning with a downpour. Next one is the anapura. It is a figures of speech with a repetition of word or phrase at the start of several sentences or clause. So for example, I came, I saw, I conquered. So this is by Julius Caesar. And second example is mad word, mad kings, mad composition. So by King John II and William Shakespeare. And lastly, she shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall never surrender by Winston Churchill. Next one is the apostrophe. It is a figures of speech that addresses the subject that is not present in the work. In this case, the subject is absent or inanimate. And for example for this is the twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are. And second is welcome, O life. Come on phone, give me a ring. And lastly, chocolate. Why must be so delicious? The next one is the oxymoron. It is a figures of speech that willingly uses two differing ideas. It is when two words are used together in a sentence, but they seem to be in contrast with each other. So for example, life is bittersweet. And number 2, they knew they could feel the joyful sadness on his arrival. And number 3, the comedian was seriously funny. And lastly, you are clearly confused by the situation you have found yourself in. Another type of figure of speech is the assonance. It is a figures of speech that identify or similarity in sounds between interval vowels in neighboring words. So for example for this is, how now, brown cow? The light of fire is a sight. Go slow over the road. And lastly, try as I might, the kite did not fly. And last but not the least is the synecdoche. It is a figures of speech in which a part is used to represent the whole. So for example for this is, Tina is learning her ABCs in preschool. So the captain commands 100 sails. And lastly, I am at the peak of my career. That's all for my report. Thank you for watching.